All right, so now we're recording, and I feel like the good thing is that your headphones are working, my headphones are working. Nobody is at home at my house right now, so the background noise should be limited. The cats have just done their scratching.
It was loud. That scratching was loud, and you guys are really lucky that you missed it.
So I guess we could just do it.
Guess what?
What?
There's no technical issues. There were no technical issues. We're
Not a
just here.
single one. Um, Hello and welcome to the Mental Funny Bone, Becoming the Gaster Girls. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sarah, and a big part of this podcast is going to talk about mental health. But we're not mental health professionals. We should not be viewed as mental health professionals, and if you have issues or problems or whatever you want to refer to them as, you should seek out professional help. We have links in the show notes for you. Today's show will be a testament to the fact that we are not mental health specialists, doctors, professionals. That's the word I was looking for.
Anything. We can't even save ourselves.
We are having a lot of trouble with ourselves right now. So more so my sister. I mean, I've had a weekend, but I mean, more so Christine.
I'm
But
doing great.
I'm going to call it a huge win if we make it through this episode without draining tears.
Right. Right. It's close
Like
right
both of us
now.
are already teary-eyed.
It's our party, and we'll cry if we want to.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, we will. Damn it.
All right. You are in charge of our fan mail, which I think is our
Oh,
next
okay.
segment.
Yeah. Of course, the ever so faithful Kim D. She is now known as Kim D, Captain Funny Boner. So she's been sworn in as the captain. She's taken her oath, and she will do everything in her power to make us proud. So very
Yeah.
happy with that.
Get it, Kim
And
D.
yeah. And we got another email from Aaron. Aaron wrote into us early on in the podcast, thanking us for helping her not feel so alone, which we've heard from some other people. And she just wrote to us to say again, thank you. I love your reminders of no one gives a shit about you, because that's a big part of my codependency, worrying about what other people think. And I also like that you touched upon the mental aspects of sports, but I think this is also relevant in academics, which we didn't really touch on, but it definitely is the same thing. And she goes on to talk a little bit about how the pressure that she put on herself and others put on her throughout academics led to some mental health issues. And just thanking us again, because mental health is something that we only talk about when someone kills themselves.
Boo. We should
So,
talk. We're going to talk a lot about it today.
Yeah, so we should talk about it more, and we shouldn't be afraid of the topic. So thanks, Aaron, for another email. Keep listening for sure. I believe that's all I have from fan mail.
Okay. Shall we do a quick catch-up corner? I believe we also get to throw in a corrections update from our mother.
Yeah, so my weekly catch up is not fun and it's sad, and I don't want to talk about it yet. And I think it should go more with mental health shit anyway. So maybe we'll just talk about the corrections that our mother sent us from last week. Do you happen to have that? I have the text. Just give me a second to find it. I love the fact that our mother is listening to the podcast. I'm not sure if she's listened to all the episodes or if she just
I don't
goes
know
in
how.
there. And well, I helped her with the first one. She was texting me like, I don't know how to do it. And so I helped her, but I didn't realize that she continued to listen. I'm not sure if she just listens to whatever one pops up, whatever it is. Anita, we love you. I should have considered your text some fan mail. Keep listening. We'll continue to try to make you proud.
Right.
I'm trying to cut down on the usage of the F word. I really am.
I'm not.
But you know me. Your usage is a little less than mine. There should be, I feel like on all this podcast shit, there should be like statistics and stuff, like analytics. And there should be a way to count the amount of times I say fuck.
There is a note in my podcasting tablet, my actual writing tablet, that says how many fucks. And
okay.
at first, when I read it, I was like, is it Mark Manson? Is it subtle art related? And I was like,
How
oh,
many
no,
fucks do you have to give? Oh, no. We need to count them.
I wanted to count how many times I said fuck. and how many
Yes.
times you said, fuck,
I feel like it's a great competition to have.
right. Tell
I
me.
feel I feel like I'm going for low numbers. I'm trying to
Right.
decrease my amount of offensiveness.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, so mommy
Sidebar.
sends this yesterday at 6:48 p.m. from mom. I just got finished listening to the podcast. First of all, Sarah was not born yet. I just found out that I was pregnant the day we went to SeaWorld.
Oh,
So I was the
you were
SeaWorld
not
baby.
there.
I should have been named Shamu. That's
Listen,
pretty
I'm
cool.
not saying we called you that behind your back or anything, but
Your dad was undressing to go to bed and tripped on his pants around his ankles and couldn't get up off the floor. And he went to sleep on the floor. Turning off the heat is better than getting into an argument. Love you guys. So, daddy, she didn't take the covers. He just fell asleep on the floor, and she didn't help him. She just turned off the heat and apparently cuddled with you. And I was just in her belly.
right, you were much closer. Again, if you're looking for marital advice on,
Yeah.
how to stay married for 50 years, our parents have done that. I don't know if this is the path for everyone though. So again, we're not marriage counselors. Pretty sure our mother's not a marriage counselor. So, take that one with a grain of salt. Yes, turning off the
Turning
heat
off the heat.
is is an
Better than
alternative.
arguing.
It's a choice.
But anyway, those are mommy's corrections. Or, yeah,
Right.
mommy's corrections. So that's my weekly catch up. That's really all I have to talk about. I don't
No,
think
I
there was
like it.
anything else significant in my week or weekend.
Well, I didn't either. We went to the cabin. So, for just a refresher for all the funny boners out there, I'm the country mouse. However, our house is not remote enough from things. So, my husband bought a hunting cabin in Elk County, Pennsylvania, which, for those of you who are lax in your PA geography, is north central Pennsylvania. So,
It's
it
called
is.
Elk County. Elk, ELK County. So you can only imagine the
There's a
lack
lot of
of
elk.
cellular telephone service there is
Right.
there.
So we're essentially off the grid, which is fun unless you have a job where you need the internet. So on Friday, I worked at the Dunkin' Donuts in St. Mary's. So
That
shout
sounds
out
fantastic, though.
to those guys. Shout out to the other guy who was also working who couldn't get his IT shit to work. So sorry about
Oh,
that.
that poor guy.
He couldn't. He had to cancel a meeting.
Oh,
The
man.
it was just basically cleaning up my email and doing all of my anxiety fueled attention deficit things. So, being worried about not getting stuff done, so obsessively making lists of things that need to get done, and then putting them not only in my paper tablet, but also my Microsoft to do list and linking them to important emails.
I want to hear about the side by sides and cheeseburgers.
It was so fun. Okay, so there we are at the cabin. Picture it. Work is all done on Friday. It was fine. So we have still some daylight when I get back to the cabin. When I get back off the grid. Do you know what a side by side is?
It's like a big ass go kart with a lid on it.
It
And you
is.
guys
It
have
is.
one that has 2 rows.
Right. We have 4
You guys
seats.
have
So
a side by side, back to back.
right, we have a front, back. Yeah, we got that thing. It's nice. It goes fast. David picked it and then ordered every accessory you could possibly order from Amazon and put it on it. He has been playing with this thing for literally a month. We haven't taken it anywhere except around the farm in the back of our place. So this weekend, we're going to take it out on this recreation area. We're part of a land lease. So each person gives money to this land lease, and then there's I don't know, hundreds of acres or 100 acres. I'm not sure how big an acre is, but there's a
Makes
lot
no
of
sense to
area
me.
in the mountains, and there's no houses. It's just like mountainous, sort of. There's creeks, and we don't know where we're going, and it's not like you can Google map anything. It's because that's what I thought. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get out here. I'm going to pull up Google Maps and it's going to be like all of these trails, or somebody will have a map. Nobody
Yeah.
has a map. There's no
No.
map. I thought we were going to go to like a location in the woods where there would be like a guy, and the guy would be like, "Hey, welcome to Rocky Run. Let me see
Welcome
your
to
sticker."
Jurassic Park.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Welcome. Welcome. Here, let me see your admission ticket, and here's a map. But no, like it is literally wilderness. So what I've done is downloaded a compass on my phone. So now I know if we're going north or if we're going south. I have also downloaded a topographical map of the area.
Ooh.
Right.
Wow.
I don't know how to read that.
Yeah, hell no. I don't even know how to use a compass. I mean, I would
Right.
be like, is it really going north? I don't know.
No
Is
idea.
that west? Why is the sun
Like,
over
I don't
there? I
know.
don't know.
Anyway, so this side by side, lovingly referred to by people in the know as a buggy. We have a buggy.
Oh, you have a
This
buggy,
is our
which
buggy.
yeah, which is what you drive outside, not what you push around the grocery store.
Right.
That's a
It
cart.
like a dune buggy, except a mountain
Hmm.
path buggy is what we have. But
Mountain path.
right, like we run into one guy, like David knows people, and we run into one guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you go right down Meffert's Run, right by Kiln Lime Drive, right where the old tree stump used to be." And I'm like, these are the directions.
Yeah.
Right. You can't miss it. There's a gate. You can use your key and get it. There's a shortcut if you want to cut across somebody's property. He knows. He's fine with it. I was like, what is.
It's
So
still tough. It's still tough.
we get there, and we're riding along the trails on Friday, and we get lost. We eventually find our way back. We run into a guy on a power line, and he's like, "Oh no, never go that way!" Like that little worm in the David
Yeah.
Bowie movie
The
Labyrinth.
labyrinth.
Right? He's like, "Don't go that way. Never go that way." So we know
Yeah.
not to go that way. David's promise was I would not have to be wet or cold or dirty.
I feel like you are the smartest person I know.
Right? Right. I should have seen through it, but I
Yeah.
didn't. David and Olivia are outdoorsy. They're for real, like outdoor
Yeah.
people. They
They
like it.
like that
Olivia's
shit.
wearing a camouflage trucker hat, and
Yeah.
she's up front.
And
She's
not
got
just because she looks cute in it. Like she's
well,
wearing it because
she does look
she
cute, but
wants her head to hide.
right, she doesn't want to have happen this thing that happened, which was David gleefully rode through a giant mud puddle and sprayed up, like on a water ride where you're
Oh
going
yeah.
down and you hit and there's a giant spray that goes over top of
Yeah.
you. Right. That giant spray went over top of me, and I got standing mud puddle water all over my face and my head, on my glasses.
Delightful.
I am now I am now wet and dirty. I
I
can
feel like
feel.
if I knew what was going to happen, I was ready for it. It wouldn't be that bad. I don't know. Maybe if I can come home to my home and shower.
I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I liked it. I had a good time. There were parts where I was like afraid, and it was fun. If you ever rode dirt bikes in the woods, it's fun like that. We had a good
Yeah.
time. Everybody liked it. We got lost a couple times. I'm like, I think we're going in a circle. Like, we were Winnie the Poohing it, I think, at points. We've already passed this tree. But we go out again on Sunday. And the idea is we're going to go to the barrel house. So from where our cabin is to the barrel house is about a 25-minute drive if we're on roads. But we're not. We're on these side by sides. And David's like, all right, we're going to try to meet some people. I'm like, it is 100 acres. And we saw one guy yesterday, which was a guy you already knew, who came out here specifically to look for you. That's so, all right. But yeah, we pull up, we're on like the gas line. So it's a big like meadow thing. And we're sitting there, and David's like, listen, do you hear it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I do hear other buggies coming towards us. And it was this group of very friendly people. And they were, oh yeah, we'll point you in the right direction. Oh yeah, you can't miss it. You just go follow the arrows. Now there's arrows all over the place, and some of them don't point in the right direction. So we make a giant circle. People were nice enough to warn us that the entrance to the barrel house, it's a bit steep and it's a bit rocky. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not a good idea. And they were like, oh, no, you'll be fine. It's just bumpy. No, no, no.
No,
This
go
is
home. Go home. Abort, abort, abort.
right. That like we like 90-degree angle is running into a wall, right? So this was like a 70-degree angle.
No.
And we were in the riverbed of an ancient ocean, I'm pretty sure. There are giant rocks. This is nothing but rocks, like rocks stacked on top of rocks. And
Megalodon fossils and
right,
shit.
right. It's all mossy. Like sun hasn't shone on these rocks in a million years. Never. I've never seen the sun.
My skin is crawling. I'm having a panic attack for you.
Right. And the trail here is really worn down in. Like when I say worn down in, there's dirt on this side up to about here. There's dirt on this side, and there's rocks all in. The wheels on the machine are up and they're down, and you're leaning this way, and David's like, lean left. But, finally we get up and we come out in this other really nice meadow, and we're at Lance's Corners, which is spelled Lantz, Lance's Corners, which is where like 8 roads intersect. And Olivia, every time someone says it, she's like, who's Lance?
Yeah.
Like, that's good. Every time you say it, it gets funnier.
Yeah.
So we're at Lance's Corners at the Barrel House, and then we go inside and eat the best cheeseburger I have ever eaten.
I love cheeseburgers.
Mostly because it has taken us 6 hours to get there. So, yeah, we ate cheeseburgers in an ancient forest. Well, not in it. We ate cheeseburgers near an ancient forest. But then after we're done eating, we have to go back. And we have to figure out which of the 800 ways that we got there is the right way.
It's going to take you 72 hours to get home.
I am the smartest person alive. The map
my.
that I downloaded takes your location. I don't know how it does it because it's not hooked up to like Wi-Fi or anything. Satellites maybe, just position a jiggly thing inside of the iPhone. I'm not sure how it works, but if anybody who listens to this can tell me how this works, gastrogirls@gmail.com. Tell me how the phone knows where I am even when it's not hooked up to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Right. I had a little line to follow back. Such a blast. Yeah, so that was my weekend. And then we had to come back to the cabin and we had to hose it off, the side-by-side, because it was covered in mud.
Yeah. Right. Wait,
So,
what's next?
I think we have a growing up Gaster story of the week, which is kind of a good one.
Yeah,
Picture
nice.
it. Picture it. Scottsdale, Arizona, 1999. 1999 had to be.
Maybe
1999.
Yeah, 99, because we were in a club, and which means I was 21.
Right. And I think I was already married.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure.
You got married in 98.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I
Yes,
wasn't
true.
21 yet, because I got kicked out of the bar.
Correct.
And
I did not.
The rental cop said, I said, you just let her in. He said, yeah, well, she just got married. I said, for all you know, she's knocked up and my dad's making her get married.
Nothing
That's
but
when
class.
Daddy grabbed my arm and said, oh, let's just go to
That's enough.
Denny's.
We're done here. Nothing but class. Nothing but Gaster Girl class.
Shit. Anyway.
All right, so picture it. Scottsdale, Arizona, 1999. I believe you were working at the Taekwondo studio.
I think this was still summer, so I think I didn't work there yet. I was just working. I was just there for the summer. I hadn't actually moved there yet. And so I was working at the daycare, and I had just started going to Taekwondo. You had just started making me go to Taekwondo with
Right,
you.
because it's fun. You should go.
Yeah.
I was a yellow belt. So for those of you not familiar with the ways of martial arts, yellow belt is a pretty beginner level.
Yeah.
It is
I
not
was
a
white
black belt. Right. Which is the
was a
most
white
beginner
belt.
level. I was still a yellow belt because I had knee surgery. I hurt myself as a yellow belt doing a jump front kick like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
but short and stubby.
Right. Right. Just like Sarah Michelle Gellar, if somebody squashed her, like took all of her mass and just made it 7 inches shorter. Same.
If your object is just to jump and kick someone in the shins.
Not the most flexible of martial artists. But
No,
there you
nor
go.
am I.
So I had a bad knee, but I still had a yellow belt. So I thought I was very, very badass. My husband at the time was out of town. It was just the two of us, which was unusual because in these times we tended to go out in a big herd.
Yeah.
You would get the call back even before cell phones because you had to know where you were going when you left home. And we went to a dive bar, I believe. You tell me when I start getting the story wrong. We went to a dive bar next to the new Taekwondo studio, like the South studio. It was also in the same plaza, except so one side was a Taekwondo studio, and on the other side was a salsa club where people would do salsa dancing.
I remember the salsa dancing. I don't remember. I remember being at a big ass club.
Right.
Which is where this happened. But we
pre-gamed.
started at the little bar.
At the dive bar.
And the little bar, the dive bar, I can't remember the name of it. I want to say like JD's or something.
Oh, I can't remember it. I can't remember it at all.
I don't remember any of this.
I lost my ID at the dive bar. It fell out of my pocket.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to the club and they were like, you can't come in here. So we had to go back to the dive bar. While we were there, I believe we did more shots. I picked up my ID. We went to the club. We were dancing to the most fantastic 90s hits that one can imagine. Yeah. You were doing the Running Man, I'm sure.
100%.
Anyway, there was lots of fun. There was lots of dancing. There was lots of bass.
The drink special was a Long Island iced tea.
Ooh, yes. Because that was necessary. Definitely needed the Long Island iced teas. Yeah, we'll have two of them. Anyway, so we get hammered up on the Long Island iced teas. The DJ keeps playing. It's 2:00 in the morning. It's time to head home. We're walking out of the club and Sarah's like slightly behind me, and then she bumps into me and pushes me forward. And I'm like, what the hell was that? She's like, somebody just kicked me in the ass. And I was like, that didn't happen. Why would anybody kick
seriously?
you? And I'm like,
it's like somebody kicked me in the fucking ass. Like someone just kicked me. We're walking down steps and someone just kicked me in the ass. I swear to God. And I'm looking all around. I see nobody's laughing. So I'm like, I don't understand who would kick me in the ass and not laugh. Like I'm so confused.
So perplexed. I was ready to fight.
And she still doesn't believe me. She doesn't believe me.
I was going to fight anyway, even though I didn't believe you. I'm like, all right, well, who is it that you would like to fight? Because I am a yellow belt.
Taekwondo.
Right. She is a white belt. I am a yellow belt with a bad knee.
Yeah. And
we're ready.
Fuck you up. And we're drunk.
We will fight you. Anyway, so Sarah stumbles down the stairs, gets 3 steps ahead of me, and I'm like, oh my God. On the back of her, what had to be a beautiful lame skirt. Oh, it was khaki. I was like, it's
skirt
from the Old Navy. Had to be.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yep.
Is a black footprint. Like
of a giant.
Like you'd been wearing construction work boots to the dance club, and you had been stepping on sticky ass Long Island iced tea discards.
Tar.
And
you took your boot, you stepped in tar, and then you kicked the little girl in the bum.
I was like, holy shit, somebody did kick you in the butt.
Yep. Yeah. Boot print on my ass. Why? Were we that obnoxious? I mean, maybe we were, but I feel like it was 2 a.m. and everybody's leaving the club at the same time. Like, we're all pretty fucking obnoxious. Right. What did I do that warranted a swift kick to the ass? And there was good contact, obviously, because there was a full ass giant boot print.
Like and a then stamp.
I want to know who is that good that they were able to do that and not laugh.
Right.
Because, I mean, I turned around pretty quick and there was nobody showing any sign of doing it.
I don't know. If boot kicker guy, if you're out there, and if anyone knows boot kicker guy, please forward this
Yeah.
along so that he can help us out. We would like to
Yeah.
give you a high five.
Yeah. Well
All
played. I thought it was
all
one of the
is
funniest things
forgiven.
ever. I would have forgiven you like that night because I thought it was
Right.
so funny that I had a fucking boot print on my ass. And that's how I left
We,
the club.
we would have been friends with you.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. 100%. Is this also the night that we had to go pee real bad?
Yes. It took us a
This
while
was,
to get home.
and I believe it was you and your smartness
I
that, well,
mean,
first of all, we were racing to the apartment to get to the bathroom first. And I beat her because it's what I do. I probably pushed her in some manner, hip
yeah, I
checked her.
did.
Luckily, she didn't land on her face this time. And I made it to the bathroom first. She comes in and she's doing the pee hop while I'm peeing. And she said, I have an idea. You go a little, then I'll go a little. Like I was just going to
You,
stop peeing and let her pee a little. And then we would switch off.
I thought if I could relieve just a little bit of the pressure, that
What?
I would feel better.
Don't you know you can't stop once it starts? It
It
stings.
stings. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
that was a good night.
to this day that comes up every once in a while. You go a little and then
You go
I'll
a little,
go a
I'll go a
little.
little. Yes.
Good times. Aw. See, that made me smile. That whole
And that's why
that
we
whole
tell these
gesture.
stories because they're funny as shit.
All right, what should oh, do you want to hear my medication update?
Yeah, I think it's time to move into that.
All right, so I went to the psychiatrist, loved her, and she prescribed me some medicine for my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder because I have ADHD. I got all of it. And she's like, "Well, try this."
Let me take a time out real quick.
Yeah.
I want to do something while we're on here because I got I got this lip stuff from Temu, whatever you call it. And it's this aloe shit that changes colors. So I want to put it on and just let you watch it evolve. So go ahead, continue your story. I thought of this because my lips feel like they need something on them, and this is the only lip shit I have in here right now. So
If you think for half a second I'm cutting out the part of my ADHD story where you interrupt me to put on lip
oh
gloss that
no,
changes colors.
no, you shouldn't.
All right,
Ooh,
so
look at it
so
already.
oh, and it turned off your light. Amazing.
Oh my!
Oh. Oh yeah.
Don't use that in public.
Wow. It's so pretty.
Not. Okay,
So
so
it's been
ADHD. You're going to try out some meds.
which apparently runs in the family. This is like week 3. So midway between week 1, like halfway through week 1, I start feeling odd for me. Like there's a lot of things happening and I'm very worried about something, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm worried about. Like work isn't crazy. Olivia's fine. Things at home are fine. There's no reason for me to be worried or anxious. And yet here I am, almost to the point of tears, crying about how worried I am about things. Luckily, because I do a mental health podcast, I'm like, I wonder if this is just my brain pulling some tricks. So I give it another, like a couple of days. And the weekend was fine. I mean, it was bad enough today where I had to call Sarah and be like, "Hey, what is this? What is this free floating anxiety that is generally just crippling me?" She's like, "Yeah, that's my life." And she suggested I call the doctor because maybe my
Yeah.
medication isn't doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, it is because within this crippling anxiety, I'm so afraid of not getting my ADHD stuff done. Like, I'm so afraid of missing something or doing something wrong or spacing out about something that I'm just going back over and over and over the things that I've already done in hopes that I catch everything that I'm supposed to be doing, which seems like a shitty way to deal with the ADHD. So I called my
Yeah.
doctor. I left a
The
message.
medication it overdid. It overdid its job.
I feel like maybe it did. So I'm I called my doctor, but she called me back, and I was on the phone. I was on a work phone call, so I'm playing phone tag with the doctor. So I'll have an update for you guys next week, maybe on what happened. But I think that Sarah and I talked a little earlier about this is part of what makes mental health things hard to deal with. You know how to treat a broken leg. You put a cast on it and you wait for it to heal. It always works. If you have an infection, you're like, oh, hey, these antibiotics are going to fix that right up. But we're going to give this a try because we can't really know what's happening in your brain without some really invasive testing. So we're going to guess right now and see if this helps it. If this doesn't help it, then we're going to try something else. And that is frustrating.
Frustrating and scary.
Yeah, I think it is frustrating. I was trying to define the emotion of being like, well, shit, now I have to do the thing that I thought I've already done the thing that I thought would fix it. Like, I've already asked somebody to help me, and they've tried to help me, and they've inadvertently have made it worse. So now I'm not allowed to give up. I have to go back and do that again and see why I don't feel better. And it's, yeah, it does make me sad. What is so horribly wrong with me that we can't fix in just one visit to the psychiatrist? So there you go, you guys.
And
If you're doing
I mean,
this, if you're
the
doing
important
this, you're not
thing,
alone.
yeah, the important thing is that you called me. We're doing this, and this is what people do when this happens. You need to have your backup people, and they will hopefully shed some light on it and get you to call your doctor.
Right.
So I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to do a lot of changing meds. We've done adjusting dosages and maybe adding a little bit of Prozac, taking a little bit of Prozac away, stuff like that. Some sleeping meds I had some issues with back in the day when I was having some trouble sleeping. But for the most part, I haven't really encountered bad medicine issues. And I know that I have heard from other people terrible stories, heart-wrenching stories about trying to get the medication right. And it's painful because when you start the medication, you have to give it some time.
Right.
So you give it that time, and then next thing you know, you're 3 weeks in, you feel like a piece of shit. You're having these adverse reactions. Is it really the meds? You don't know. So you need to get a hold of your doctor. While you're trying to get a hold of your doctor, everything in your brain is going fucking wacky, and you're overthinking everything, and you just want to cry. And then when you finally get a hold of your doctor's going to tell you, all right, well, we need to switch you up. So we got to get you off of this medicine. And at some point, in some cases, they need to wean you off of that medicine before they can introduce the new medicine. So it's a
Yay.
process that can stretch out to be a very long process. And if you've got serious mental issues, that's real shitty.
Right. Yeah, that is shitty. That is shitty. And yeah, I wish it was different, and I wish there were better ways to handle it. So maybe again, with the advent of some of the breakthroughs that we're doing in clinical research,
Yeah.
that we can start looking at improving some of that. I mean, I think that's the way that these things get better. Enough people are aware that mental health is important, and the ways that we impact that is just really raising awareness,
Waking awareness.
raising awareness, and
Walk it.
normalizing all of this. Walk it, right? Normalizing all of this, being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're struggling to get your medication right." Like today, I told my boss, I'm like, "Hey, I am kind of going through it, so like, this is what's happening." The same way I would have said, "Hey, I have COVID and I'm going to have to lay down in a little bit."
Yeah.
Like, I have sucky medication right now, and this is what happens. I appreciate your patience. Like we've touched on it before, it shouldn't make anyone think anything less. It's just Facts. Like,
Yeah.
facts are, I'm so anxious, and you telling me that I have to take on the largest client that we have that's already a mess is going to make me react sort of poorly today. I'll be better with it tomorrow or maybe the next
Yeah.
day once I've had some time to process. But yeah, you're going to make me cry today. Right. Well, that's the way it is. I am going to keep trying though, because I think that once I get this right, I am going to feel so much better. Like it,
You have to be prepared to play, I
yeah.
guess, if you want to put it that way, because there's the payoff is huge. The payoff is your life,
Right.
basically.
Like you get to feel normal.
So
Well, you
it
get to
just,
you get to
you get to
participate
feel
in a
better.
way.
Yeah. So that's the attitude that you need to have,
Yep.
is that it's shitty now and it's going to be shitty for a little bit while we figure it out. But eventually I'm going to get to a point where this is all manageable.
Yep.
Remember, it's not about fixing it. It's about making things manageable. And the way
And
you're living right now is not a manageable way of living.
exactly. And I wouldn't be here like taking one step closer to feeling better if I had pretended like I'm fine. Like if I hadn't recognized that this isn't a good way to go through life. Like this isn't the way that I want to live. So, getting back to acknowledging the problem and working on it, giving myself a better
Right.
problem. Like today I have a better problem in that my medication isn't right. Like I
Yeah.
don't have the problem that I'm all alone and by myself and not aware that I have an issue to fix. Better
Right.
problem. I traded up.
And that's how it should be.
Yep, there's the tie in to our book. You have other things to talk about in Weekly Catch Up Corner. I'm sorry I took up so much time with my mental health issues.
Well, that's what it's about. So, yeah.
I should also stop apologizing.
Yeah. You should. I mean, if you go overboard, I'll just be like, "Hey, you need to edit that shit out. Shut the fuck up, man.
My God.
I'm sick of listening to you ramble. I mean, first of all, I
Blah,
stopped
blah, blah,
listening
blah,
like
blah.
20 minutes ago
Like one of those
when I put this stuff on
chatty,
my lips, and now I haven't stopped looking at how my lips are changing color.
like a chatty Kathy doll. We can't get to shut up.
All right. So shut your trap. Stop apologizing. That's what we're here for.
Right.
We're helping each other and we're doing better things. Well, I just wanted to bring up, I guess it's kind of shitty. It goes kind of on the heels of competitive mental health within competitive environments and a sad situation in the PGA world this past week. Grayson Murray, who's 30 years old, committed suicide on Saturday morning after he withdrew from the PGA tournament, and he withdrew on Friday citing an illness. And then he committed suicide on Saturday morning and didn't show up for the end of
Tournament.
the tournament. So, yeah, so I read a little bit about Grayson Murray, and it's kind of a sad situation. But he's been battling demons for quite some time. He actually was going through some addict issues, being an alcoholic, and he has spoken about these issues very openly over the years. And in fact, in January, he just won his second major tournament in Hawaii.
Oh.
And his speech was all about how over the last 8 months he had gotten sober
I remember.
and he had found his fiance, or
I
they got
remember.
engaged, and talking about the support of his family and how he was in such a better place, and acknowledging still that there were going to be bad things and he was going to be able to deal with them, so on and so forth. So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter what people say outwardly. I do know that there was an article written about the PGA not giving him, not just him, but other players that may be showing signs, or even reaching out and specifically asking for help, the resources that they need. And again, I think we forget how much pressure that these individuals are under, and especially someone this young. I mean, he started professionally playing when he was in his teens, I think. Like he won his first first major. I think he was
Oh,
21 or 22. And he talks a lot about that and how that kind of winning that actually sent him into a downward spiral.
right. I mean, I think when we were talking about athletes, we were talking about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations are challenging, and with Aaron H talking about academics, right? Nobody would expect you to get an a high A pluses if you didn't do that the first time. And once you're kind of basing your personality and you're basing your successes and failures on those things, it's really hard to pull back and understand that you're going to still be alive even if you don't maintain that level of success. And if you're always looking for perfection, if you're always striving to be like the Jenny W principle, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
always looking to be the best one in the math department instead of just getting a little bit better every day, you're always going to fall short. And that's always going to feel like the end of the world. And the same thing for professional athletes who can't recognize that, yeah, all my life I've had this performance based view. And maybe if I can change that to a purpose based view, that I don't feel so shitty all the time. I mean,
Sucks. It sucks. And I wish that we could
right.
fix it. And I wish we could take it all away. And I wish that just us talking about it would fix it. But ultimately, you just never know. And
And
you
it,
never know what someone else is facing on the inside. And we need to think of that. And we're all battling something. You know, we all see it on t-shirts and in frames because you're going to
yeah,
wonder like, what could we do
yeah,
better? What could we have done? And there's really
nothing. I mean,
nothing.
you can't, it's gonna come out wrong, I think. But the responsibility for behavior lies with the individual. It
Yeah.
just does. And if this is the only way that these people see to get out of it, then this is the only way they see to get out of it. And
Hmm.
if you are so far in the rabbit hole that you can't ask for help, I mean, there's only so much people on the outside can do. Because you know as well as I do that people who have mental illness are also pretty good at masking it. Like,
Yeah.
pretty good at saying the right things, especially people who have battled it forever. And especially those, who do the same thing with addiction because you're used to hiding it, right?
Yeah.
You're used to masking it. And there's not a lot you're going to be able to do to pull it out of somebody who doesn't recognize that this is something that they can be helped with. Like, the place, I think, is so hopeless that this is the only choice that they can make. They're going into it with eyes wide open, and they just can't make a different choice. And you wish they could, and you wish that you could have done something, but the responsibility for individual actions always lies with the individual. And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I think by talking about it, we get it out there, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you and I talk about it and we have a funny podcast that'll help us talk about it, then even if it's one or two other people that can talk about it, then we made some kind of an impact. So,
I
I mean,
do.
I think that's
I think that it's such a level of pain and
right.
such a level of isolation
They're thinking about, this is the way out, and this is the way that I can be at peace, and
and the
this is the way
only
that I can
way.
feel better.
Right.
And I mean, all right, if that's the
Yeah.
choice that you have to make, and if that's the peace that you can find, I will be sad.
And here's the other thing I struggle with because I want to say I because I want to say don't do it. Of course, no. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Find your people, call them, call them, call them. But it's still going to happen and I don't want it to be okay.
No, no, you don't want it to be okay, but
But I also want to acknowledge that
I see you crying.
it hurt so bad and then this brought them peace of
Right.
some sort.
Right. Just like the final scene to another kind of terminal illness. Like, I don't want you to give up, and I don't want you to stop fighting your cancer. I don't want you to give up, and I don't want you to stop fighting the melanoma or whatever it is that's slowly killing you. You know, you don't have to keep fighting a battle that you feel like you can't win. I mean, I want
Right.
you to keep fighting, but if this is
That's
the
what I
place
mean.
that you're
Like it's
at,
shitty. Like
right,
there's no good way to fucking say it.
right, right. I'm I will take solace in the fact that you tried as hard as you could and you did the best that you could to fight the thing that you're trying to fight. And I will take solace in that you got to a point where you're done suffering. I think is the trick, right? You don't have to suffer anymore. So, I mean, it's shitty and keep fighting, just like we tell our friends that have terminal illnesses. Keep fighting because there's stuff that's worth fighting for. There's stuff that's worth being here for. There's stuff that's worth fighting the battles that we all have to keep fighting. Like, it's worth it. Like, having you around is worth it for the people that you're going to reach out to. Like, your
Right.
loved ones love you and they will miss you terribly, and they would rather have you in whatever form you're coming in, and they would rather have you and you are not a burden. If you think that you're a burden, you're not. You know, as someone who has read a suicide note from someone they love, you're the person that I love, and I want to see you succeed and not succumb.
I like it.
Right, I
I'm
think I
better.
can edit
I'm
that
better.
together so that we don't cry.
No, no. I was gonna hoot. I felt like that would have been great if I just hooted.
Right. Just a tribute to Jumbo. All right. Let's
Anyway,
let's get on
well,
with it. So let's talk about how we can keep trying and keep getting better. Let's talk about how we find the things that are important so that we can navigate life so that it doesn't become overwhelming and burdensome.
right, right.
All
We need to
right,
figure out
chapter
what our
4.
values are.
Chapter 4. I went back and it is the only chapter in this book that I actually underline things in.
Oh
Like
wow,
even like the
really?
I forgot that I did it because I have the brain of a peanut.
So, are we talking about chapter 4 again, or are we talking specifically about values?
We're talking about values. But that's what
Okay.
chapter 4 is about. So
Okay.
how do we find them? And
I would
I
like
will
someone to just give me a list of questions.
no.
This is what
Did
I have
Amar
decided. I have
did,
read a bunch of shit and I just want Mark Manson to give me a list of fucking questions.
did he put it in the book? I mean, because I think at
I
one
don't
point in
know.
here he's like the secret to the self-help is that you have to do it. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's
the secret to self
basically,
to self-help is, if somebody is selling you rainbows and sunshine, it's bullshit. And without
yeah.
hard work and without some deep thought about what you really want, you're never going to get there.
So in this article, he gives you like a list of different, like a bunch of different lists about values.
Do you want to hear about my value?
Yeah, because I don't, because I can't, I'm
I
having a
will,
hard time with my values.
and I'll tell you how I got there.
Okay.
So, all of this anxiety, there's so much inner turmoil happening in my space that having David and Olivia also contributing to this anxiety, having them arguing about stuff because they argue all the time. They fight about little things, and having that happen at the same time I'm trying to deal with all of this other stuff. I looked at the situation, and usually what I'll do when this happens is throw up my hands and walk out of the room. Why would that be the way that I deal with this? And it's because above almost everything else, I value peace. Like, I don't want to fight with anybody about stupid shit. I don't want to get into an argument about that or that or that or that. Like, there are very few things that I value more than peace. And I don't know if it's a good value.
I think it's a great value. But I
Sometimes,
think
yes.
so it's about,
Right. I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into this thing. So whatever this thing is, my value leads me to find the way out of it. Is it walking out of the room? Is it pretending that it didn't happen? Is it telling a little white lie about it? Did you do this? Yeah, I did that. I'll do it tomorrow and no one will be the wiser. What is that? Feels like a shitty value, right? What's my measure of success? Is it that it's quiet?
Yeah, I think that had something to do with it.
Like that no one's screaming? Is that a good measure of success?
I
You
think
have to
it's a
give
hard.
up taking a stand on occasion. You have to give up, you know, looking at somebody and being like, this is fucking stupid. Like, all right, you win this one because I
I
can't.
was going to say you have to be okay with losing sometimes.
Right. All the time. Like, yeah, what feels like all the time, right? But I mean, I think that's part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to look at the things that we value right now and think about, is it good enough? Like maybe that's not the best one. Maybe I take that and say, all right, well, what do you think should be more important than that? Is it that is it that level of honesty to be like, hey, I'm going to try to tell you something right now because I think it's important. And I know that it's going to create less than a peaceful environment for me to exist in right now. Is that a better value? Understanding that the honest answer to the question, did you do this? When I know that me saying no is going to create a big issue, or I think it's going to create a big issue.
So, like, this would be like when you don't want to tell me no when I ask
Right.
you to do something, you just ignore me.
Right. Do you want to come to my Shamrock Shake party?
Just tell me
Yes.
no. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to fight with you.
Right.
Maybe it's
Exactly.
maybe it's you have to know your audience as well.
Are you almost here? No.
Yeah, are you almost here? No, I
No.
haven't even left my house. Okay.
No, I'm 45 minutes away, but I will tell you I'll be there in 5 minutes so that
Yeah.
you stop judging me for.
Do you remember when you asked me to be part of your 360 circle? And I
Yes.
was like, "Do you really want me to be able to track you?"
Yes, no, this is a terrible idea. But I think like looking at the value and being maybe that's not the best thing because I was so excited. I'm like, yes, peace. This is a great value. And then
And
I
dig a
thought
little
about
deeper
it
into it, and it's
and I'm
how
like,
you achieve that. And
right,
it's going to be
peace.
your actions. It's all about your actions and how you act your values.
Yeah, peace is a good thing to aim for, but so is a lot of money. And that is not the best value either. Like,
But do you want to make a lot of money so you can make a difference in the world?
um,
Do you want to make a lot of money so you
yeah,
can just be a dick and sit
yeah,
on all of it? Like I mean, I think for the most part, making money being your value is probably not the greatest thing. But the point of it is your actions in your values.
yes, yeah. And like understanding that when when you make those choices, and I think he gets more into this in chapter 5, like when you make those
Yeah, I
choices.
think that from what I'm reading, like the whole book is all about figuring out who you are and your values and walking
Yeah.
you through that. Like this is just the beginning of it, and he's going to dig deeper into it, which I'm glad because I am stuck. Stuck.
And maybe because it's my fifth time through it, I'm like, well, you just need to start looking
There you
at your
go.
life. You just need
Yeah.
to start examining. And maybe it's because I've been so anxious about everything that I'm like, is that a good value? I don't know if that's a good value. I'm not sure.
I
I
don't
should go
know.
back
I
and look
don't
at
know.
it 19 times. Is it bad? I don't know if it's bad. What does it make me do? What are the things that I'm sacrificing in order to have this value? Like, how do I know if I'm successful at it? Just because it's fucking quiet?
And I mean, the whole point of it, like, it's hard. It's definitely hard. If it was
Right.
easy, if it's easy, you're doing it wrong. If you
And it,
think, well, I can just say, I would like peace and I like honesty. I like being a
right.
good person. Like, if you can just
Right. You're
say
not
all of
doing it right.
those into your sweaty balls microphone after reading the
Hi.
chapter once, hi, I think that you are lying.
Right.
So this is where like I needed to read this article and I needed to dig deeper into it before today. I dropped the ball on this myself.
Yeah, the good news is we're going to get back together next week and do the same
Yeah.
thing
And we're going to
and talk
talk
about chapter
about,
5.
yes, you are always choosing, which I
Right.
mean is basically what we were talking about. You're choosing your actions and how your actions are going to define your values.
Right.
So
And
I think we're moving right along.
right. And I will keep looking and understanding what else I value. Like
Yeah.
I don't and maybe I also thought about this and wrote it down. I don't necessarily value friendships where I have to talk to you every day.
Oh, I wrote this note. I'm sorry. I was actually getting a piece of post-it note to wipe my lips on. And I found this note that I wrote. Hold on, let me get my other side of my lip. Oh, got a paper cut on my nose now.
Oh God.
Our values are constantly reflected in the way we choose to behave.
There you go. Yes. Right.
So,
So because what I thought at the beginning of the year is, all right, let's put a let's place some emphasis on friendships. Let's place some emphasis on friendships. So kind of hearkening back to the fact that maybe I don't have a whole lot of friends. And I find it challenging to make friends as a grown up. I will start reaching out more. I will start being the person that texts. I will start being the one who calls more frequently. But I find that I just don't think that's important.
value that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's important. I ran into an old friend, an old colleague, at another conference, and we took our little selfie, and I sent it to what I think is probably one of my better friends, and immediately she texts back. She's like, "Hey, how's my favorite?" And we go back and forth, and we text for like 10 minutes, and then both of us are done
Yeah.
for another 4 months. Like, but that's the kind of friendship that I value. Fundamentally, I am not going to have a ton of everyday friends. I'm not going to have the person that I have to call every day and be like, "Oh my God, how was your day?" And not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just not that
Just
person.
not going to have it. I
Yeah.
should say a side note about friends, because we did discuss that I have a lot of friends. Just so you know, I might have a shitload of friends, but this past weekend, I felt awful lonely.
Oh,
So just because you have a lot of friends doesn't mean you're
right.
never lonely, or doesn't mean that you always have. Sometimes it's better to just keep one solid person around.
Anyway. All right. So those are some values, and I think that's like digging deeper and dissecting those things is maybe how we get to the values. And then once
Yeah.
we get to the values, we can evaluate them. And I think this is a constant thing. Like you're doing this all the time. And because I was thinking about it, and because, there was some not peace that I'm like, well, that is the thing I want more than anything right now.
Yeah.
Are you pretending to have a mustache? Right. All right. Well, I will cut out the last 10 minutes because
I've stopped
clearly
listening.
one of us isn't paying attention. All right, next week we are going to the Kenny Chesney concert.
Against my will.
Same. It seemed
Being
like such a
forced.
good
I'm
idea.
being forced.
Seemed like such a good idea.
But anyway,
Bare Naked Ladies is in late September.
fairly certain that's enough.
The
1
roller
hour and
coaster.
33 minutes later.
God, so much editing. So much. I have a half hour
All
of shit to
right.
kick out of here.
All right. Well, time to shut her down.
Yep. All right, I love you.
Love you.